Snares are the best and easiest, most effective trap you can put out for animals, and I'm going to show you how to make one coming up. Survival Schoolhouse. Well, welcome to my office. First, cut a piece of wire about 18-24 inches long is plenty long, and then it may be kinked up a bit. Smooth it out on a branch, on a stick, so we don't have any kinks in it. So now that our wire is all smoothed out, then we want to make a loop on the end for the other end of our snare wire to go through. So just to start that out, go at least in ½ an inch or a width of your finger. This is about 5/8 to close to 3/4 of an inch, and then just fold it over at the end of that spot, just to leave yourself enough tail to twist together. Then you make a little loop, and you have your little loop there, and that's where you're going to twist together. So you're going to twist, pinch the end of it, end of your loop, pinch that, and twist. Pinch and twist, nice and even. And then leave about 1/8 of an inch of your tail. You don't need to twist it all the way down. So leave about 1/8 of an inch of tail. And that acts as a fur catch as the animal goes through, or as an irritant as it's poking against its neck as it's struggling. Make sure your wire is all smoothed out. And then the tail that is perpendicular to the end of your loop, put that to the inside, put the loop through, and then make sure that your loop is nice and round. Now for a small game animal like this, like a squirrel, you want it 3 fingers. 3 fingers in width. Larger game animal like a rabbit, 4 fingers. And just make sure it's nice and round. Tag line to the inside, and then for an extra step you can put a kink right where the end of your loop is with your fingernail. So there's a little kink up, and you can see that kink there, and then that acts as a catch once you preload your wire. I'm preloading it, and then I'm pulling it back up. So then it makes it a little bit more sensitive. So as the animal hits it, it starts to close in on itself. So readjust, make sure that it's nice and round, and then it's ready to go to be placed out there. And then grab some flagging tape too, because we want to put that out eye level around the area. Now when we're looking for animal sign, a hole is a good spot, but a lot of times they stop using ones and go to a different area. So look down inside it real close and make sure that there aren't any cobwebs inside there is one of the biggest indicators. Also see if there's fresh dirt moved around in front of it. That's another good one to look for. And then if this one looks good, there's a couple different places where you can put it in. You can put it down inside the hole, about where they're going to be running up and down, or up towards the front. And that can work well too, up towards the front, down through a singular access point. But find a stick. This one's about 3 feet long. And then it can be a drag stick. This is called a drag stick. You can either pound a stick into the ground, because when you're going for a small game animal like this, it doesn't have to be something that's big and heavy. Tie it off with some more twists in towards the back. Make sure your loop doesn't move. And you're just going to have to finagle the wire and get it in there in just the right spot. So say if this hole was a little bit larger, and we want to make our snare for the animal that we're going for. So if you can't observe it, you definitely want to do that and guesstimate if it's either 3 or 4 fingers, or even bigger if it's a beaver. Now up off the ground, you want about a finger's distance up off of the ground for a squirrel or something small like that. Make sure that it's right in line with the hole. So as they're coming out, it's not twisted to the side or the loop isn't sideways. So you want to make sure you envision where the animal is going to be running out and how it could be caught inside it. And as an added measure, if you had a larger opening, put some sticks in, some larger, obvious sticks to funnel them into the area. So it's going to be obvious for you, but try not to make it obvious for them. So put a couple sticks in, and so then they're going to take the path of least resistance through there and try and run straight out through that area. And then hopefully get caught. Now another thing to consider before you put a snare out, if this was an animal trail, approach it 90 degrees to the trail. Don't just walk down it and leave a whole bunch of disturbance in the area. Approach it 90 degrees so you're not tromping through their highway basically. Okay, our snare is right down there, so flag it with some flagging tape at eye level so it's easy to see. Don't put it down on the ground right next to it. That can leave a sign to the animal if they're smart, but also it's more difficult to see as you're walking through and trying to check your trap line. So eye level all around, just as a glance as you're looking around, you're able to find the next one. Here's another good spot where a ground squirrel is going into the ground here next to this tree stump. And then there's a natural funnel that goes right down in the area in between this part of the tree and this root. And so that could be a good spot for it to go down in. There's a stick here that's in the way. Another good indicator where a ground squirrel is going in this way. And so disturbed area, try and put your snare in a natural funnel. 90 degrees to the ground, so perpendicular to the ground. Adjust it. Free floating, look for natural funnels going down in. Squirrel will run down this way and then catch itself with its head right in there. Take the time to get it just right inside there, because that definitely means the difference between catching something and not catching something. When I worked for the survival school, we had a special permit to snare animals. And paying attention to the details means the difference between catching something and not catching something. This is a larger area here, so I'm just going to funnel it in. Just making sure they go through that spot, and that would be a good area to catch an animal. You can put snares on a pole going up a tree right here, and it's called a squirrel pole. The squirrel likes to take the easy route up a tree, and it's just going to go up to try and get some more nuts and pine cones off the top of the tree. So the way you want to place it is a finger's distance up off the log, 3 fingers wide again, and next to a natural funnel like this stick here. And then ideally there'd be another branch sticking out like this. So it could run up the side if it wanted to, it could run up the bottom because they have claws. The majority of the time they'll run right up the center, and this would catch a squirrel if it was going up this tree here. Now, when do you want to check your snares? It's a good idea to check them a couple hours into the day in the morning. So after everything has been moving around in the morning for a couple hours, 2-3 hours, go check them, see if you caught something. And then right before dark is another good time to check it as well. So 2 times a day. And then animals move primarily during dawn and dusk. So those are the active times. You don't want to disturb that area too much during that prime time opportunity. That's why I say a couple hours into the day and right before dark after all the evening activity happened. And a lot of times animals still move into the night, but for the most part, those are going to be the best times to check. And if you put out 15 good snares, the general rule is you should catch one animal. If all your snares are concentrated in trying to get that one animal that you've seen or good sign in that area, you should get something. So, we'll see you next time on Survival Schoolhouse. Keep surviving.